we could approach things a different way and come at this episode a little more aggressively. Do you want to cue up what I'm about to play?
Sure. The Mariners lost here on Monday to the A's on their second walk-off home run loss in 3 days. They have now had yet another game that they lost a one-run contest. They lost a walk-off contest. They lost on the road. Their pitching staff did not pitch well on the road. The offense didn't do enough, and the bullpen coughed up the game late. So, where have we heard these things before? Feels like we are in Groundhog Day talking about it over and over and over. And what better sound can encapsulate that than this right here?
We're sitting here again. Talking about the same things.
Thank you, Brian Kelly.
Thank you, Brian Kelly. If you were not a college football fan or didn't watch that LSU-USC game on Sunday night, that was after the press conference when Brian Kelly was very visibly not happy with LSU losing another big game early in the season, and therefore he slammed his fist on the desk saying, we're sitting here again talking about the same thing. And I'll tell you what, that visual was hilarious, but it is a perfect way to encapsulate the Mariners season. How many times, I feel like we've said this a million times, how many times do we have to talk about these repeated storylines? Like, I know it's September 2nd. We have a month of the season left to go. Anything could happen. Maybe they somehow get on a hot streak, but I don't know what else we can keep saying here. Yes, the offense doesn't hit. They don't pitch on the road. The bullpen keeps coughing up games. What else can we say?
But a hot streak based on what exactly?
I don't know.
Again, we've already detailed how they have pitched about as well as they possibly could have, and it legitimately doesn't matter.
Well, not
so
on
what
the road,
would it take?
Yeah.
And no, not on the road. Fun fact, we floated this on Brock and Salk earlier this morning. Do you guys realize it's worse now after Monday's game? The Mariners are bottom third in baseball in road ERA. Not even a good pitching staff on the road. Not at all.
Not even a league average pitching staff on the road.
Which is why Dan Wilson wins his first 2 series, and it's like, great. It's like, okay, but they're going to go play 3 series on the road where they've struggled all season, and they've looked incredibly average away from T-Mobile Park. And what have they done?
TJ, what are you talking about? It's all Scott Service's fault. He's to blame. Everything was going to change once he got fired. And everything has. You see how
Scott
different
Service
it is now?
called the Mariners dugout today and told them to put Austin Voth in the 9th inning.
Yeah, he's still deploying bullpen moves from afar. It's all his fault. Everything changed with Scott Service no longer being here. Like, clearly he was the problem. It's all his fault.
You have 4 winnable games in a row to start this road trip. There's only so many ways that we can sit here and sell, it's a pretty soft schedule. Looking at this, they're definitely winnable matchups. You have the pitching advantage. You theoretically should have the roster advantage all these times. Hasn't mattered. Like 3 games in a row, too, the Mariners have blown leads and ended up losing in the bullpen. And the bullpen being a piece that I don't feel like we talk enough about, of being a culprit of the Mariners' downfall this season, of just not being able to hold on to those leads. It's just so disappointing. Like, we can sit here and look at this Mariners schedule the rest of the way and say, oh, well, look, they got 3 more games against the A's. You should be able to win some games against the A's. And then you have the Cardinals, who are fine, but it's certainly a team that you could be able to beat. And it's like, the Padres, you played well against them at home. The Rangers aren't very good. You get them for 4 games at home. The Yankee series is going to be tough. And then you go back on the road, and that's where you make up your money. But how are you supposed to sell anyone on the fact they're going to win games? Oh, newsflash. You don't. They're not, because they're not. They've shown us enough times of what they are on the road. This team playing on the road will not take them anywhere. They're not.
And it's September. There is no, what if things correct itself moving forward? There is no moving forward. We're in the final month of the season. This is who this team is on the road. And if they can't beat the Angels and the A's on the road, how are you going to beat anybody on the road? How in the world are you going to win all 3 games in Houston? Because this is what we talked about on Brock and Salk on Monday. This is what we're going to sit here right now and talk about. The Mariners' only path to the playoffs right now as of right now, they're still 6 back because Houston lost today too. Their only path is if going into the final series in Houston, that last week of the year, on the road, they are within 3 games. So essentially between now and when you go to Houston, if you made up 3 games. And if that happens, you have to go into that series and sweep. In other words, you have to play your 3 best, cleanest, most dominant baseball games of the season in a place that's been a house of horrors and a team that's been significantly better than you since May, essentially, at the very least since mid-June. I saw today the Astros since April 24th have the best record in baseball. But anyway, you have to go into Houston and win all 3 of those games. Otherwise, that is your only path to the playoffs at this point. Otherwise, they're not going. And if you are 1-3 against the Angels and the A's, how are you going to sweep Houston on the road?
If you're going to gain that amount of games, you need to probably rip off, let's say, a 5-game win streak at least. Let's say minimum, right? 5 games. So which of these 5 games are you winning in a row down the stretch of the season? Because you're not winning 5 in a row on the road, not with the combination of pitching and hitting you have on the road. Or are you going to find a way to win 5 combined games against the Padres and the Rangers? I think that's your only opportunity if you win the last game against the Padres and then sweep the Rangers while you're playing at home. The Rangers have been meh at best this season, and the Mariners are taking care of business against that team. But that's it, because then after that, the Yankees come in. You're not sweeping them. You're probably losing the series to them, and then you go back out on the road in that series, which odds are right now the Mariners will lose a series to the Texas Rangers in the second to last week of the season, and they will lose or get swept by the Houston Astros in the last week of the season, and then it's over, essentially. 3-game series against the A's at the end of the year does not matter. Just fan appreciation weekend. And if that's your cup of joe.
Well,
but looking at any sort of semblance of chance, there's not one.
No.
And we just have to keep being reminded of it, because we're sitting here still trying to watch and find some way to hold out hope, and sitting here and being disappointed again and again and again and again and again.
Yeah, what I'm looking forward to most in that A's series is a bunch of the minor leaguers get awards that weekend, and hoping that we see some of the guys we become friends with get the chance to come up to Seattle and accept some awards, and then we can talk to them and catch up with them there. That's, like, you talk about that last weekend, that's what I'm looking forward to, because it sure doesn't feel like where we're sitting right now that they're going to be playing meaningful games.
Do you know what disappoints me the most, though, about these last 4 games? Your starting rotation has been your rock this season, the thing that you rely upon the most. And in the last 4 games, you have George Kirby going 5 2/3, giving up 3 home runs. You have Brian Wu, who pitched well for the most part, but still gave up 3 homers and 4 earned runs. You had Bryce Miller, who couldn't even finish 5 innings on Sunday before he got knocked out, giving up 3 earned runs. And then today, Logan goes 6 and gives up 4 earned runs. And the Mariners' winning games this year has been reliant on their staff being dominant. And these 4 games, they've been far from that.
Here's my issue with that, though. Don't they ever get a pass? Don't they get one bad turn through the rotation at some point, and some grief is given for how amazing they've been all year? And with that, at what point, when they have a bad turn through the rotation, can just once, or maybe twice, like heaven forbid twice, 3 times, it would be a miracle if the offense is like, you know what, guys, we're going to pick you up today. We're going to put up 8 to 9 runs. We're going to be the driving force in why we win these games. They never do that.
But why would you give the pitching staff a pass for how they've pitched on the road?
Oh, well, okay, on the road, no, they have not been a strong staff. But I'm saying
that's been something that's gone on for months now.
But I'm saying you were acting like, oh, well, they didn't have a good turn through the rotation when they really needed them to, and they did.
Yeah.
And
so the way you're framing it is correct. But if we're just talking about overall on the road, it is September, and they still have not figured out how to pitch at an above-average level on the road.
Well, that's not good.
No, it's not. Not for a team that can't hit.
And I know I'm just screaming into an abyss at this point because, again, this is who this team is. We know exactly who they are and what they are and are not capable of. Yes, I'm screaming into an abyss, but I'm going to continue doing it. Like, why can't the offense ever pick this team up?
Because the offense isn't good.
Did you know? Did you know that today was the first time all year here on Monday that Julio's had a sack fly?
That is...
I saw that tweeted today.
So why do we think that is? It's probably too many ground balls, right?
Yeah. That, a lot of strikeouts. He certainly swings hard. So the times he'll often connect with guys on base, it'll go a ways. But it doesn't
and the Mariners have less guys on base than almost every team in baseball, too, which also does not help.
No. So all-encompassing, not a good stat.
Well, he's only got 4 for his career.
That's unreal. Again, that says a lot of ground balls, a lot of strikeouts. Yeah.
And when he hits the ball in the air, it usually doesn't get caught.
Right. And he hasn't hit the ball in the air anywhere near enough this year. Again, we know both last year and this year, he's had his struggles in clutch situations and driving runners in with guys on base at times. I think it's all encompassing.
Where do we go from here, man? What are we supposed to do for the next month?
We're going to tell you guys to put a smile on your face and that it's all going to be okay. Do the Joker smile. Yeah, that. If you're all the more reason all of you listening should also be watching on YouTube because we're doing Joker faces right now here on the podcast.
Should start doing the Joker dance or the Joker laugh.
That's actually pretty close.
Well, I promise I'm not turning into the Joker. That's kind of creepy.
Are you sure? The Mariners haven't turned you into the Joker yet?
Not yet. No. Might take another 20-year drought to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's the constant year-over-year insanity they force me through.
See, I think all my rage for the season is out. When the Mariners had their 1-8 road trip and when they blew the 10-game lead and when they got swept at home by the Angels before the All-Star break, that series where they scored 3 runs in 3 games, that was where all the rage and fury and ranting was really at its peak for me. Now, like, I think I'm, 1, just all out of energy, and 2, just immune.
Don't you feel tired now?
I feel out of energy, tired, and honestly immune to it. Seeing the Mariners get walked off twice in the last 3 days, I didn't have much reaction to it. Usually if that were to happen, I'm dropping F-bombs, I'm pissed off, I'm in a terrible mood the rest of the day. But now I'm just sitting here, it's like, yeah, like, all right, this is who they are. This is who they are this year. I'm out of energy. I do not have energy left to give for losses like that.
I felt that when I was doing the reaction on Sunday. You can
on social media.
On social media, yeah. Go if you haven't seen that, go check it out. By the way, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter @MarineLairPod. Just sitting there like, we're doing this again. The expectations we set, and they're going to finish below 500. Ultimately disappointing. Like, seriously, like on the field, do we even what do we want to even see this month? Do we want to see anything? Do we want to see like a hot month from Julio? Do you want to see healthy players? Do you want to call up Cole Young? They should not.
No.
What? Sebi Savala back on the roster?
I don't even know. I would love to see Bryce Miller and Brian Wu finish the year strong. How about that? To show that they've really taken a full step forward in year 2 to show that they can. I mean, Wu had injuries throughout the year, but Bryce especially, but still both of them to show they can finish the year on a high note and pitch throughout a full season.
They should sign Tim Tebow. Come on, that would be fun.
So we'd have to get him on the mic.
Yeah. I'd be in for that. I think that's a good way to at least entertain ourselves for a final month. Because you know what's not entertaining? If I have to watch this offense 24 more times.
What if they get Kent Murphy to give these guys a pep talk?
How many people you think are going to listen?
Oh, I would listen.
But what about the players? It's for them.
If they know ball, they'll listen to Kent Murphy. Don't think about this. Ken Murphy was actually the pioneer of analytics, and people didn't even realize it. What does he say in all his videos? Never bunt, just hit dingers. Seems like a pretty flawed.
I mean, he's right.
logic.
Just do the math. You can score instantly, or you cannot.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds pretty easy to me.
So I'd love to see Miller and Wu finish the year strong. I'd love to see no more injuries occur, especially not serious ones, obviously. I mean, that goes without saying.
Especially not pitching injuries.
Right. Other than that, yeah, it'd be nice to see some of these guys heat up toward the end of the year and give people some positivity and give themselves some momentum going into next year. JP, Julio, a couple others. But I'd love to see Victor Robles finish the year strong to show that he can really sustain all this. But, I don't know how many narratives are even out there where we can say this is imperative.
I just wish there were some guys close to the big leagues they could give some playing time to now. At least that would give people more of a reason to tune in and watch.
That's true.
Watch these games.
I don't know if this is relevant or not, but this could just be where the state of the farm system's at. The Mariners haven't gotten a single thing out of their farm system this year, at the big league level. They haven't really gotten much. Clase was up for a bit. Leo Rivas has been up for a bit. Troy Taylor's pitched a few innings. Locklear was up for a bit. What real impact has been there?
Yeah, and even if you count Canzone as part of that,
not really, to be honest.
Hasn't been pretty right. Or even if you do, if you don't, it's worth nothing. If you do, it's he hasn't been very good either way, because he's back in the minor leagues. He's back in the farm system. So, yeah, I don't know. We've seen development in the farm system, but not pushing towards contributing to the big league level. But we expected that.
Yeah. Look, it's just where the state of the farm's at. I'm not saying that's a knock on anybody, but it is just something to note. It is, you haven't been able to get true reinforcements this year. It's been the guys you've had to roll with and the couple players you traded for at the deadline.
So I would say I'm at the point now where Mariners lose a few more games, I would be okay just rolling out Tyler Locklear every day and giving him some big league at-bat, 3 weeks worth of big league at-bats.
Yeah.
Every day, you don't have to worry about benching him or platooning him or anything. I think that would be beneficial for him. The Tacoma season's going to end before that anyways, so might as well.
But not much longer before it ends.
How has he been since he's been back to Tacoma? I haven't even checked.
You can look, but the Tacoma season, the AAA season goes the longest of any of the affiliates, so it only ends a week before the Mariners season ends. So if you were to call him up, you just do it soon here so you can give him a few at-bats.
Never mind. He probably needs to stay in Tacoma.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Not much.
But I just do wish there's something to make more people want to watch this team for the last month, because we could just repeat what has already been repeated time and time and time and time again, but all the goodwill they built up in 22 and giving the general fan in Seattle and the Pacific Northwest a reason to sit down, pay for Root Sports, and watch these games has evaporated. All of it.
It's evaporated, and Root Sports might evaporate right with it.
Exactly. So you have to find a way to get people to want to watch your games, because we can sit here and talk about the payroll all we want, but you know what will cause the payroll to not go up is if no one cares.
But that just feels like an endless clock. People don't care because the roster wasn't good enough. The roster wasn't good enough because they didn't invest enough resources. They didn't invest enough resources, so people don't want to tune in. You're not going to tune in.
That's why you need the upfront investment in all of this. And then you have a product like the Yankees have, where people care year over year after year after year, and the ratings are high, and the attendance is high, and you're in the number one market, and it's this cyclical thing. But the Mariners had to start from zero with that, and for their 47 years have done a poor job of building a good reputation in their own community on the diamond. Yes, we're having this conversation again.
You know what? Play the clip again. Again, how many times have we already had this conversation in the second half?
We're sitting here again talking about the same things.
How many times? Unreal. Dude, Brian Kelly's ridiculous, by the way.
Yeah, he is. Maybe he should coach the Mariners team, and then he would. What would he do if he coached the Mariners? He's a big blame other people, right?
Oh yeah, he'd be throwing guys under the bus in every press conference.
Can we get a week of that? I think half the fan base would really enjoy that.
Get some laughs out of it.
Yeah.
You know how much content we get out of that?
A lot.
Brian Kelly sits down at the podium as the Mariners get walked off for the second time in 3 days against the A's. Again, after getting walked up by the Angels a couple days ago. I heard a great man give a quote once, and I'd like to repeat it here. It was me, Brian Kelly said. I gave this quote. We didn't execute well enough tonight. Maybe our entire team should be executed after tonight. He just says that to the entire Mariners media. And what are Mariners fans going to say hearing that?
He's right.
Well, he's right that they didn't execute. I can't exactly vouch for the latter.
Well, I know there would probably be some people out there justifying that the whole lineup should be executed.
Okay, but by executed, you mean replaced?
Sure.
I'm
not saying they should kill the lineup.
Yeah, not actually executed. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
a figure of speech.
Right. But when Brian Kelly actually gave that quote, people did not take it as a figure of speech. They were like, "What is this dude saying?"